Jim, can I see the bills for?
I do have a few that I'll ask to
You want to wait?
be copy of the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay. 25th.
We'll call the Harrison County Commission meeting to order for May 25th, 2022. If you would rise. Please join me in a moment of silence for Dick Welch, who I think within the last year just retired from the Clarksburg Water Board and passed away this week.
We'll also add the families of the children. Okay.
But go ahead.
We had that terrible
Tragic.
tragedy in Texas.
Gracious Father, we come to you, Lord. We're asking for blessing upon this commission meeting today so that the will of the people of Harrison County can be done. Father, we stand here in anguish and sorrow over the loss of life in Texas and just the loss of morality everywhere in this world, Lord. We ask that you continue to look down on us, touch us, and grace us, and help us, Lord, in every way to do your will. We ask that it's hard for us, Lord, to love others as you have loved us, but help us, Lord, to meet that deficit. We ask you all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Treecost, are you on Zoom?
Present.
Is there anyone signed up to speak publicly? Okay. No one to speak publicly. Number 2, consent agenda. What's the pleasure? Motion's been made to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Number 3, payroll change notices, A and B. What's the pleasure?
Motion approved.
Motion to approve number 3, A and B. Any discussion? No, B is, everybody's okay with B. Yes, I just, and that's all been,
And I just checked my email to make sure he didn't send anything else. but-
okay.
Yeah, that's the only one that has been buzzing around. I was just curious what the issue was.
For his FMLA paperwork, they got it worked out, and this is just the paperwork. Commission signs off on all FMLA paperwork.
It's time off.
I just
They
was-
got the issue. Everything's been resolved tonight. I spoke to the sheriff yesterday.
Okay.
Okay,
She's happy.
okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Uh,
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Minutes and or amended minutes of previous meeting. A, what's the pleasure?
Motion approved.
Motion to approve 4A. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, motion carried. Do you want to move 5 to,
no,
okay,
I'm good.
oh, you, okay.
Yep, got it.
Of course, it's 10:05. And we have a funding request at 10:05, the YMCA of North Central West Virginia, Inc. Richard Iquina. You're up.
Thank you. Last year we had the same race. We had about 60 to 65 young children and quite a few adults. And it was very successful at the VA Park. And we'd like to continue with that funding that you gave us last year. And feel it will really help the YMCA as long as North Central West Virginia. Any questions about the race?
I don't have any questions. Does Commissioner Treecost or Commissioner Hinkle have a question?
Somebody highlighted on the special funding, 5 items. I'm curious who highlighted those. Is it-
I've seen those highlighted before. I don't know if we send when it's highlighted on the form
I
on the
noticed we
website.
don't have any of those, whether we have them on file.
We do have, I know the IRS letter on file. I think the only thing I'm missing, which I can easily get, is the board of directors.
Get the rest of the information to go with it.
Yes.
Move to approve. Will staff to get the rest of the information required.
A motion's been made to approve the funding request for the YMCA
$1,500.
for $1,500 with, but we've got to obtain the additional information that wasn't received. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carried.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Number 5, requisitions, purchase orders, invoices.
Madam President, I do have a few that I would like to pull from the requisition list until I can gather more information about them. I'm sorry it wasn't done sooner, but I'm playing catch up. But it would be work order number 39108 for TK Elevators in the amount of $2,385.50. It is the requisition for wellness reimbursement. There's some missing information in the amount of $24.67. And there's also work order number 39193. It's for Jot Form in the amount of $4,740. So for the time being, I'd like to pull those from the requisition list, please.
Motion to approve requisitions except for 39108 and 39193.
And then there's one more, Commissioner Treecost, for the wellness reimbursement.
And also
Which is
for
a-
wellness reimbursement as stated by the county administrator.
Motion has been made to pull the 3 requisitions as stated. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Exoneration, number 6, exoneration corrective tickets. Doesn't appear that we have joint property applications, A and B. What's a pleasure?
Move to approve.
Motion to approve number 6, A and B, exonerations and corrective tickets. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 7, consideration of approval of a project fund requisition for the payment of costs associated with the project to be financed from proceeds of the Series 2019 bonds issued for the Charles Point Economic Opportunity Development District, Series 2021 A and B Development District Number 3, White Oaks Project Number 2, and Series 2008 A Charles Point Project Number 2, Northland Bay Improvements. A, there is one.
Are these for the reissuance of the bonds? The cipher here.
It's several items on this bill. Falls with the assessor to review model next to the plan for the next steps. updating model for the development summary, update model absorption schedules, research personal property tax information, research comparable properties. And there's several more. Would you like to see the detailed list?
I'm looking at it here. It's
And these are all items that date back to February of this year.
I guess my only is that we talked about community caps when he was going to redo these, and I'm just trying to make sure the right person's getting billed for them, so.
Well, Mr. Amon sent over this bill for Unicap. I can double check with him before we pay this.
Would you please?
Would you like to approve pending?
Yes, proof pending,
Confirmation from Mr. Amon.
Yes.
Okay, the motion's been made to approve pending confirmation concerning the invoice from Mr. Tom Amon. Is that correct?
yes, we should be paying it.
It's coming, it comes out of the TIF, correct? Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, motion carried. Consideration of number 8, consideration of approval of project fund requisitions for the payment of costs associated with the General Services Administration building to be financed from proceeds of the Series 2020 bonds issued for the Harrison County Building Commission A and B to Thrasher. What's the pleasure?
Move to approve.
Motion to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 9, review, discuss, consider permission to travel for Jacqueline Snyder, NADCP Drug Court Conference Training, Nashville, Tennessee, Community Corrections Day Report. Time of travel would be July 24th through July 28th, 2022. It's a pleasure.
Motion approved.
Motion to approve number 9. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 10, review, discuss, consider reappointment of Ms. Orpha Swiger to Harrison County Solid Waste Authority, term July 1st, 2022 to June 30, 2026. Current term expires June 30 of 2022. What's the pleasure?
Motion to reappoint.
Motion to reappoint Orpha Swiger. Any discussion? Hearing none. Motion carried. Oh, all in favor signify by saying aye. Oops, sorry, Orpha. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Getting ahead of myself. Motion carried. Number 11, review, discuss, consider certification of 2022 primary election. Are all counties done? Okay. So we can.
Motion approved.
Okay, motion to approve certification for 2022 primary and affix appropriate signatures, correct? Is that the correct motion, Commissioner?
Yes, Madam President.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 12, review, discuss, consider appointment of Jason Snyder to replace Ken Winky that has retired from Community Corrections Advisory Board. What's the pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Motion's been made to approve the appointment of Jason Snyder in place of Ken Winky to the Community Corrections Advisory Board. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 13, review, discuss, consider improvements presented by Parks and Rec to Summit Park Spelter and Rec Complex.
Madam President, I
Mhm.
spoke with Director Book earlier today, and he was unable to be here. Mr. Comer is off on vacation, and he's swamped with his programs and everything. Director Book we had a conversation, and what they would like to see is, yes, they sent us information about the different Summit Park, Spelter, and Rec Center. They would like to see some of the projects that were already approved previously last year get completed before we add anything. Is what Mr. Book and I discussed. There are plans already. I know that Doug sent over information about some prefab dugouts and everything. And there have already been discussions about doing those dugouts at Summit Park.
I'll finish them what we started. But we'll start. But I mean,
Well, I think the concern is, as we're doing each of these parks, some things have changed. Like, for instance, at Spelter, we had the press box that was severely damaged that needed replaced while we were doing that. So that did increase that total at that park. And they just want to make sure there's no surprises are coming up.
any further discussion for number 13?
I guess not, if there's nobody that's going to speak from the park, because they wanted concrete sidewalk or pad up to their handicapped area. I'd like to know the status of Spelter Park and where the dugouts are and the removal of the double wide. I'd like to know why we're not going ahead and approving the same dugouts that we approved for Spelter at Summit Park. It's good enough for one park, it should be good enough for all parks. We didn't consider anything other than cinder block dugouts for them. And they were supposed to interview the people down in Spelter whether or not they were interested in a tennis court.
Commissioner Hinkle, I do have some answers for your questions and concerns. As for Spelter, the dugouts are complete, the press box is complete, so that field is ready. There are plans for dugouts, the same exact dugouts actually for Summit Park that are at Spelter. The only problem right now that they cannot work on replacing them at this point in time is because softball starts on the lower field. The upper field has to have drainage fixed before they work on the upper field, but Parks does have plans for dugouts for both the lower field and upper field, just like the ones that have been done at the other parks. And like I said, the drainage has to be addressed. That was another thing that we originally did not plan on that has come into play since all of this.
I'm gonna see where the drainage affects the dugouts. If there's a drainage issue on the field, they can still build dugouts.
They can.
Upper and lower field.
They can, but Doug and Mike asked to hold off on that right now because ball games are starting.
Because what?
Ball games are starting.
Where?
At some
In the upper field. The plan on it and the other field.
The lower field has softball starting on it, which will be on weekends, and the upper field will have t-ball starting on it. But as I spoke to Mike this morning, he said if anything, they can possibly have T-ball come down to the lower field, use that field. So then the drainage can be complete on the upper, and also the dugouts can be complete on the upper.
Well, we'll put it back on the agenda again for next week, because it's not answering all the things that I want to do and why we're not getting this stuff done.
Okay, Commissioner Hinkle, I can put it on for the following week. We do not have a commission meeting next week because it's following the holiday. But I'll have it on in June.
It is 10:20. Well, are we done with that?
Yes.
Commissioner Treecost, you okay moving on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
10:20, we have a funding request from WYCF. Says Patricia Ryan, but I don't think see it.
Should we stay here or?
It does, whatever you want to do.
So good morning. Y'all may remember that we.
Perry, identify yourself.
Perry DeChristopher. Perry DeChristopher, I'm a board member from your Community Foundation of North Central West Virginia, also known as YCF. With me today is Brian Benshoff, who is a member and an employee, I guess now, of YCF that has helped us in this wonderful project that we came and talked to you about, I think about a month ago, regarding an endowment that YCF has gotten, this great opportunity. We call it $1 million match, and we are really asking the counties where we provide help, which is Monongalia, Marion, Harrison, Taylor, and Preston. We've asked all of those county commissions to help us reach our goal of $1 million match, to provide support to the communities in those counties. And I think we've provided some documentation regarding a form for that. We've talked about some of the funding and some of the emergency funding that we came to know is so important because of COVID. In all of the counties in which we serve, I will say that the money that we hope to raise through this $1 million match will enable us to grant maybe as much as $100,000 every year to the counties for which we serve, and that is unrestricted funds. We have funds that sometimes are restricted. This would support unrestricted requests, and just as an example, last week YCF funded a $5,000 request to the Clarksburg Mission to renovate apartments to use for COVID isolation, actually. And so these kinds of funds enable us to do those kinds of things for smaller groups that may be overlooked or may not have any other place to turn for resources. And hopefully, if we can reach this goal, we will be able to fund those kinds of requests in perpetuity.
We were very fortunate when Perry talks about the $1 million match. We have in hand a donor who has, in an anonymous fashion, provided this $1 million match. That's what we're seeking to do. We've already generated nearly $350,000 toward that match. And like Perry said, we're really hoping the county commissions will help us take a sizable bite out of this. This is not just, this opportunity isn't just for YCF, it's really for the organizations and agencies we support throughout that 5-county area. As you may recall from the proposal we submitted, for a gift of this size, of this magnitude, in fact, any gift over $10,000 or grant is eligible to remain and designated specifically for the county, if that's the donor's choosing. So should the commission choose to move forward with a gift of size, it would be for the organizations we serve within Harrison County, if that would be your choosing. For us, this would be a huge step forward. We do have the restricted funds to a very sizable degree, actually, over the years compiled. But that does enable us to respond to the emerging needs, urgent needs, or for that matter, opportunities. Every year we get dozens and dozens of requests from the counties for help, like the one we just heard about. We only have enough unrestricted funds to do but a fraction of them. Last year it was 4%. Of all the dollars that we were asked for by the organizations across the counties, we were only able to fund 4%. So for us, YCF, the organizations we serve, this would be a huge step, and it would last forever. This would be in perpetuity, that we know we would have the ability to respond in a far better fashion, in a far more substantial fashion than we have in the past to these emerging needs.
I think the last time we were here, we provided a list, and I think we brought it again today, of some of the organizations that we have helped, and yes, so you have that we've helped and provided for. And you can see some of those are small organizations that really may be overlooked by maybe larger philanthropic organizations. And so we hope to help those kinds of folks.
Some of those are even in our levies.
I'm sure, yes, I'm sure.
Does Trey look into this? How we do this?
I'm sorry, I did not.
That's Trey. Have you talked with Trey about this?
No, sir, I haven't.
Because basically it's we're giving you a grant and then you all, if it's enough, match it, correct?
Any amount we would match,
Yes, dollar per dollar.
or I should say our donor will
Yes.
match.
You don't have to raise the $1 million to get.
No.
They will match any amounts up to $1 million.
Madam President, I'll make the motion that we allocate $2,000 to this group, please.
Okay, the motion has been made to allocate $2,000. Any discussion?
I'm still trying to wrap my head around how this. We give you the money, it stays in the county, or does it go elsewhere within the state?
It will be housed with the rest of the funds held within YCF, our organization, under endowment and managed by our money managers. So it would, the dollars physically would not be here, but the allocation then of those dollars, the earnings that it generates, would be dedicated toward the organizations.
The earnings,
Right. Endowment, the principal would remain intact and invested and reinvested. And then each year, the earnings on that would be utilized.
That's what I'm trying to, just to make sure that we've never, at least since I've been here, never done
yeah, I
anything
know. I didn't,
like this, and I'm sure over your years, I'm not sure we ever,
no, I don't remember.
ever endowed something.
Right.
I'm just want to make sure that we can do that with
Government funds.
government funds, because normally it's given to somebody and they spend it right away, and it's,
Do you have any
have you done it with any other counties?
in the past or?
Well, I think that if you give a donation to United Way, is that something that you all would do? And so it's the same. We serve 5 counties. One of those counties is Harrison County. I think they can designate that stays, those monies are spent here.
Yes.
You can designate that those monies are spent in Harrison County, which would alleviate any of your concerns about them being spent outside of Harrison County.
But it's not those funds, it's what you make off of those funds.
That's true, which is.
I mean, and I don't know if
a
I
little
don't know
different
if
than
that's,
United Way, where.
you just give it, or anybody else, or we just give it, say we would do the donation of $2,000. There's no strings attached to that.
Understand.
Yeah, that's all I'm up, because we just normally wherever we give it to spends it, and we're not operating.
We can check into
I-
that.
If we, and this is just myself speaking. If this is something the commission wants to do, and that we really want to make a commitment to this group, then my suggestion would be upon legal, making sure that everything works. I would prefer for, we're gonna make some kind of endowment that we do $10,000 so that there's actually something that they'll have in return to pay back out of. This $2,000 really isn't going to pay anything, and at 10,000, it's still not that much, but at least it's something that they'll be able to use. If they get the max, then that's 20, that's, I think it then becomes a sizable number that they can put back out, so that would be my recommendation.
That was my number.
Do that and get legal to make sure that we got the i's across the t's, so there's no issues. 'Cause like I said, in my time up here, and I know I can speak for Susan's time, we've never actually done an endowment with taxpayers' money, so that's something that we'll have to look into.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Commissioner
understand.
Hinkle, I don't,
Yeah,
I
I
agree.
never, yeah.
Never thought of that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just
understand.
something different. So if you all don't mind, I think we got two commissioners that would like to make a, I'm not gonna call it gigantic, but I think a fairly sizable, if you guys matching, but I think we can work something out.
Excellent. Yes, that would be a wonderful gift. That would be a wonderful addition for us, doing what we need to do. And just to reiterate, you mentioned the $10,000 level. That is kind of the cutoff point where you can definitely designate it.
See, that
for the
was,
county.
because that was the
Okay.
point I caught a while ago too. I thought it was 50. I thought you said
So I
50.
make the motion that the county would do 10,000 designated to Harrison. Legal, make sure that we're not
Pending.
doing anything, so this will all be pending legal's recommendations that we can do this.
Patsy, are you okay with that?
Yes, Madam President.
Okay. So you'll withdraw your motion?
Yes, Madam President.
Okay, motion's been made pending legal's opinion, make sure I do this right, to donate $10,000 or $10,000 to YCF. Anything else? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. And designate it to Harrison County.
Yes, sir.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none. Pending, it's okay.
Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
Thank you
You're
very
welcome.
much.
Take care.
Thank you all very much.
Yeah, it's just throwing me on
Yeah.
the roll.
Okay, number 14, review, discuss, consider budget for community improvement levy.
Levy starts beginning of July, and we did budget. We did not guess where the money would be spent or how it would be spent. And I'd like the commission to at least come up with a plan on where these funds will go, so that people in Harrison County know for the following years they pay their tax bill, but they know where this money's going.
Madam President,
Mhm.
as already voted on and approved, we're in the process July 1st of putting in pickleball courts, ice skating rink, a youth complex for farming, as well as a new animal control facility. So these dollars have been assigned to projects. We just have to wait till July 1st for them to go out to bid and see how many dollars will be allocated to these for completion.
February the 2nd, this commission approved to go out for 5G process to find out what it would cost and look into it. This commission did not approve to build an ice skating rink, pickleball court, animal control facility, or a youth barn complex. It was to go out and find an architect. There was no discussion. Bids were supposed to be in on after July the 14th from the 5G process. We have not approved to build anything because we haven't approved an architect or we haven't approved anybody to build anything. So it's kind of hard to budget money when you haven't approved somebody to tell you what it's going to look like, cost, or to actually build it. So I don't know why you think that we've approved to spend this money when the commission has never discussed it.
I believe the intention is to go out for bids July 1st. And then, like you said, the bids are to be back by July 14th, and then to see exactly where we go from there towards the pickleball courts, the youth barn complex, the animal control facility. So
Published notice to go out for bid or to find somebody to build the things on July 1st. And allow 14 days, or after July 14th, allow 30 days for bids to come in. That's just to find somebody to actually do the architectural work. You can't do one and the same. You have to find an architect due to the cost of the job. And as far as the animal control, this commission and previous commissions have already budgeted over $700,000 for an animal control building. So I don't know how animal control falls under this 700 that the levy has. I don't know why you have tried to include that. Money is set aside out of their levy for their building. And I don't know why you are trying to tie animal control into the levy for the 700. So again, would be nice to know what this commission intentions are. What the 700,000, how much is going to rail trail, how much is going to Clarksburg Parks, how much is going to our parks in Harrison County, and how much is going to house demolition. Those are all things that line item's for. And I've yet to hear what we're spending that money on. So I guess it's a good time for us commissioners to figure out where we want to spend $700,000. Or I guess we can give it back to the citizens if we don't want to tell them how we're going to spend it. I'm all for that.
Well, I mean, I would like to see it spent with Clarksburg for pickleball out at the park, along with an ice skating rink. And with the youth complex, youth barn complex. I mean, all these, everything that you suggested is where I feel the money should go, but we have to figure it out first.
Well, that's, well, I guess what I don't understand, Susan, is Harrison County Parks. They belong to us. How much are you going to give to maintain
Now,
them?
let me ask you, I thought you wanted to separate from them. But
From
now you're bringing, you want to give them county, and I don't, I mean,
I'm not giving them anything.
no, but all these other, you wanted them to be here today.
Well, because the county has money that's supposed to be spent out of the levy on the county parks.
But they have their own levy. The Parks and Recreation has their own levy. And you wanted to
next
set,
year.
let me finish.
Okay.
You wanted to separate from them. You want them to be their own entity.
That's what this commission agreed to back.
And
4
I'm
years
fine
ago.
with that. I'm fine
Mhm.
with that. But are we going to let them stand on their own, or are we still here? I mean,
Yes, ma'am.
but I think we need to do other things. I mean, they can worry about, I don't want to say, that doesn't sound right. I think they can take care of their parks, and if they need our assistance, then they can come tell us what they want.
What parks do they have?
Well, they don't have any of them until we complete this transition.
Do they say they can afford our parks?
I don't know. You're the one that, I mean, that brought this up. Did somebody tell you they could or could not afford their parks? Because I think to my knowledge, the money that's being spent, is it coming from the levy, the current levy?
For which items?
For the ball fields that were upgraded?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
And we control that levy as county commission.
but,
Parks and Rec doesn't control that
I-
money.
well, they should be according to the code, is that correct?
If the levy had been written that way, but the levy was written that Harrison County Commission controlled the money as we control.
But I
it for
believe
everything
there's
else.
an MOU in the works, is that correct?
I
Okay.
have no idea. We've been waiting now for 6 months for something. I'm hoping we find out today what's going on with Parks and Rec.
May I say a
Sure.
few things?
Sure.
As for, I know Commissioner Hinkle, that you want to see the money spent in the parks for this year, the money that we've had control over, so to say. Those were things that were voted last year, April, May timeframe. And those are the projects that we are still waiting to complete and get done
A year later,
a year later.
a year later. Let's make sure everybody knows that it's taken over a year.
And I think part of that is because we tried to do it in-house, and unfortunately, our maintenance department has gotten so consumed with mowing grass and other projects that it hasn't been able to be done, and that's why we've gone out to a general contractor and to try to help us with some of these projects. Now, as for, to go back to the spending of the 700,000 of the money in the levy, I really think it's too premature to set a budget for that until we go out July 1st and we start the RFP process and get that started, so we can see numbers coming back, and so we can see exactly what we're looking at, to know how much we should be designating for these things.
Well, I think we've already budgeted 150 for the barn, correct? In our regular budget.
I would have to look.
250.
250 has already been budgeted, so again, I'm trying to understand the 700,000 and what we're gonna do with the money.
We're gonna use the 700,000 once we see the numbers come in after July 1st. And the reason for that is, unlike in the past, we would like to pay for things and rather than accumulate more debt. Once we know how many dollars these projects are gonna cost to complete, then we'll be able to know what's left over of the $700,000 to move on with more community projects throughout the county.
What projects are we saying that we're gonna designate the money to? Because
As
we've
stated
got
earlier,
100,000.
and already voted on, we are going to move forward with a pickleball, animal control, ice skating rink, and youth complex.
So if the
But I think
pickleball-
what we're confused, I think really the question here is control. This isn't about control. This is about managing the money and making sure that we don't accumulate more debt and that we don't create more projects than we can pay for upfront. It's as simple as that. We're going to do it methodically through the 5G process. We're going to get an architect and an engineer. They're going to tell us the design, and we're going to decide what exactly we want to do from there within our budget.
That's totally different when you said a second ago, we've already approved to build them and spend the money. So if the Clarksburg Parks and Rec require the 700,000, they get it all. Is that what we're saying? We're not gonna put any towards rail trails or our own parks? We're just gonna let Clarksburg have it all?
And that's not what we said at all, David. It's just not what you wanted to hear. We're going to get the
No.
bids in, and then we're going to
That's fine.
decide. No, you just want control. And right now there is no control. We're waiting on seeing numbers so that we can make educated decisions that don't wreck the budget and send us any further in debt than we already are because we put the cart before the horse, like build a building and not know how we're going to tear the building down that's going to fall on people and kill them.
Building we're talking about is gonna fall and kill people.
Okay, I think we're getting off track here as far as
So
discussion.
I make a motion that. And I'm just gonna go ahead and make the motion with 700,000, 250,000 feet of rail trail, 250,000 to be Clarksburg Parks and Rec. 100,000 to be spent on Harrison County Parks and another 100,000 for house demolition. That's
Motion,
my motion.
motion has been made as stated to allocate certain amounts to those that Mr. Hinkle stated. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? No.
No,
11, yeah, I have 1046. We had a 1040 check presentation from Governor's Office to Commission for Kitten Corner Delegate Danny Hammer. Mr. Hammer. Do you want to come up? Can you explain what we're doing here?
Yeah, it was a little beyond my understanding too, but I guess the state can only, they've done it this way to all the counties, but they can only issue these LEDA checks to people that are, to groups that are already in OASIS. So when they give them the nonprofits, they give them to the county commission, and then the county commission gives it to the nonprofit, which I don't know why.
First time we've ever done anything. Here's another first.
I have no idea why,
So
but
I
that's
think
what the
this is-
governor's office said, so. and I know some other delegates have done it that way in their county, so. But yeah, it's a check for $1,000 to Kitten Corner, and I know Ken's here to
Okay.
represent them, so yeah, whatever that
This will have
process.
to be deposited and then another check
Yeah.
written is what you're saying,
Yeah,
correct?
that's
Well, we
the
can,
way I know it, but the way it was explained to me, so.
okay,
All right.
Thank you, Danny.
Thank
Yep,
you.
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Anyone want to come up? Guess we can hold the fake envelope or check.
It's in there.
Well, well, somebody's getting into it or try to start to get into it.
Yeah, probably sent it. Making sure they have the right one.
Even that's made out to the Harrison County Commission out there.
Somebody from. Finance looks crazy.
I don't know. I guess. You want to say
Thank you.
anything, Ken?
I do. I appreciate everybody at the county that's been supporting us. What we're doing out here.
Yeah, tell us what you're doing.
We're rescuing feral kittens, cats, unwanted, abused, neglected kittens, cats. We're getting them spayed, neutered, vaccinated, vet checked, medicated, and then adopting them out to good homes. We're definitely, when they said it's a nonprofit, they meant it. But we're trying to get the population overgrowth in control.
Good luck.
And it's a nightmare. For every one we save, we lose 50. And we're begging the public for help. We need help. Vaccinations alone is running me $300 a month. Antibiotics is running me anywhere from $300 to $500. That comes out of my pocket. And I don't mind spending it as long as I can find these kids a decent home afterwards. And that's what we're about.
Do you want to say anything, Danny?
I just appreciate all the work that Ken and his group have done. And anybody that supported them or other rescues in the state. I've always sort of been an animal person and always supported these sort of causes. So I just went to the finance committee and asked for a contribution, and they sent it on to the governor's office and issued the check. So yeah, I appreciate everybody supporting the cause.
And thank you, Mr. Hammer, for standing up for us. We really appreciate it.
Good luck.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks, Mr. Hammer.
Thank you.
Okay, number 15, review, discuss, consider requirements, location of 10 acres, budget for barn, deed restrictions for sale of 54 acres, and deed restrictions for all property being sold by county commission.
I did happen to talk to Trey about this one, and we talked about the July 1st, we're going out to bid for the different programs, the show barn and everything. But July 1st, ideally, we would go out to bid for an engineering firm to do a use feasibility study on the property. With that, they can tell us where the 10 acres for the youth barn complex should go, and then we can, from there, designate that property for the plans, and then the other 44, then we know what section that would be to auction.
So we're going to spend money on property before we sell.
Well, we want to know exactly where to put the barn and everything, so do you not think that it'd be a wise decision to get a professional opinion? That way we know ideally where it should go.
Ideally, sure. I guess. If that's what we want to do, and if that's what we're going to say today, that we're not going to put the property up for sale until the study's been done on where this barn's going. And the cost of the barn, but I guess it's the cost of the barn will affect whether we sell it.
I
Madam
think-
President,
Yes.
it's not going to affect that we're going to sell it. We've already voted to sell it. We've already decided to build the barn. We already have money allocated for the barn, and we have additional dollars to put towards the barn should it exceed the $250,000. The plan all along was to see on July 1st. Everything is on hold until July 1st because of the levy. From there, we will then move forward with auctioning off the other 44 acres, and we will have our youth complex as well as the 44 acres for industrial and commercial use. Ms. Pease has put it plainly and simply, the plan that's always been in place.
And how much are we selling the property for?
I believe that's a conversation for another time, so we know exactly what the minimum bid for that property, that we know exactly how much we want to get out of it will be. And that is something that, you know, we'll be working on with Trey.
Well, I don't understand. Why do we have to work with Trey to determine the minimum bid? We know we paid for other land up there. We're reserving the 10 acres out, and redividing the value of the property back in. Is this just a conversation that nobody wants to have?
I think it's something to be determined. I don't think it's something that you can make a decision today on. I think it's something that needs to be looked at and vetted,
And worked out.
whether that's with Trey or some other professional that could help us.
So back to what I said earlier, we're going to hire somebody to come in and determine the best location for the barn.
That's been suggested.
It's not been suggested, Madam President. It's been the plan all along. We knew we wanted a youth complex. We know we want to sell the property. All of that has already been determined. There's nothing left to control. It's just a matter of Mrs. P's directing the plan and moving the plan forward.
I'm sure glad that you and Mrs. B's run the commission and that Susan and I don't have any say on what's approved or not approved.
No, David, you do have say,
And
and
I
you
go
have
out for
voted no on
contract.
all
That's
of
Three of us.
the things we've talked about today. Today is about you not getting your way because all-
Patsy, it's not about me not getting my way. It's about you trying to tell us why we're here and doing this, and you don't.
it's
seem to
not
have
about
any-
me saying anything. It's about there being an agenda items in the past that we have a vote on, they have passed, and now we're moving forward. Everything you're talking about today that you're bringing up is simply because you voted no on, you're unhappy that it moved forward. It has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with Susan. It has nothing to do with Mrs. Pease. It's the county commission moving the county forward. And unfortunately, you're not on board with the things that have been voted on and approved.
Patsy, I will say that I have met a lot of people in my days, and I have never met anybody that thinks that they can say whatever and it counts. You make motions and say that we pass stuff that we don't pass, but you don't care. You and I can butt heads forever. I don't care. But you're wrong. You treat us like we don't count. I am not trying to argue anything. I have asked from the day that you said this property was for sale to tell the people of this county what the intentions, what the cost, why we were doing it, and what are we gonna get out with the money after we sell it? You just don't think you have to answer to anybody but yourself. So again, I'll make a motion to sell the property for $48,000 an acre, reserve 10 raw acres more or less for the outcome of 6 flat acres located around the barn that's existing on the property. County does not pay for development of 6 acres. Purchaser must supply utilities and access to county land. Purchaser to develop the 6 flat acres for the county within 2 years of purchase or less. Balanced property can only be used for commercial, light, or heavy industry. No retail or office space unless it meets sound requirements per airport requirements. There's my motion.
Okay.
Madam President, much
Well,
like in the past.
Let me
much like
get
in
the
past,
motion,
there-
get the motion on the
there is-
floor.
Madam
Let me get the
President, there
motion.
is no,
I want to
okay.
put the motion on the floor, okay?
It's been a motion.
okay.
Okay, the motion has been made as stated by Mr. Hinkle. Are we okay with me saying that and not reading it again?
There it is.
Okay. Okay, the motion was to sell for $48,000 an acre, reserve 10 raw acres more or less. Outcome must make
6 flat acres.
6 flat acres. Location to be around barn. County does not pay for development of 6 acres. Purchaser must supply utilities and access of county land. Purchaser has 2 years to supply county with land. Balance of property can be used for commercial, light or heavy industry. No retail office space if it meets sound requirements, excuse me, per airport. Okay, that's the motion. Any discussion?
Yes, Madam President, there is discussion. Much like when we had the Stonewall Jackson vote, and then it was put on the agenda a second time. Unless there is a second today designated by Robert's rules, this will simply die on the floor like the second vote on the Stonewall Jackson property, just Stonewall Jackson statute to remove it. This has already been voted on. Everything we are talking about today has already been voted on. And it's a matter of control, not a vote today. It's your choice to whether we move forward on this, but it can die on the floor because it's already been voted on.
Point of order, we do not recognize Robert's Rule of Orders at the Harrison County Commission. We have never recognized Robert's Rules of Orders. We are a small group. It does not require a second.
I don't
It's the
have a
same
problem.
situation we
I don't
had.
have
with the
problem
second
taking 2
Stonewall
minutes.
Jackson statute.
Let's vote. Let's just vote on this. I can say no again. So I mean, we did vote on it. I do agree with Mr. Treehouse. So,
Yes, we did.
yes, we did.
We never voted on anything on how we were selling the property.
We voted on selling the property and the arrangements were to be determined.
And I just wanted to talk about.
There you go. You just determined. But anyways, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? No.
No,
Number 16, review, discuss, consider approving money for body cams in upcoming budget. I believe 16 and 17 is already, I mean, we can't do anything until July, and I think
We
the
can't do
sheriff,
anything but until July 1st, but I sent the sheriff an email. We had conversations back and forth before I went on vacation. That when I came back, we would get together and figure this out. Ideally, I would like to work with him and have something to present to you guys on the June 8th meeting. That should give us plenty of time. I know he sent the email yesterday with different pricing, so we can iron those out and come to an agreement.
and I spoke to him
And
yesterday. And
and as we have all spoken to him, Madam President, this is in the sheriff's, this is the sheriff's ball, and we'll let him run with it, and we'll do what we can to make
Oh,
sure
no,
that he
the
has
committee-
the
no,
approved
no, no.
before.
I'm sorry, I have to disagree. We need to come to some kind of agreement or we need to make a budget revision come July to take care of
Right,
the body cams and the cruisers. The problem is we need to figure out how much, because I understand the body cams have gone up since 5 years ago, and we need to come to get a number on cruisers. And I think that's what Laurie is going
Now-
to get with the sheriff about, to discuss purchasing or leasing cruisers and see what the best bang for the buck we can get, or best buck for the whatever, however. But I believe that's the next step, and she can come back on the 8th with that, and we can put this to bed,
Oh, Madam
please.
President, I think we can put it to bed today. I think we have the money today. It's available to us today.
This is for next year's budget.
Well, no, man.
This is-
we can pay
yes,
for
sir,
out
it
of this
is.
budget.
Yes,
No,
sir, it is.
We have the money now. We have 983,000. It's never been transferred out of the ARP funds that were supposed to be for shortcoming on tax collection. You and Mr. Treecost agreed to take 800,000 of it, give it to rail trails. It never happened, so that 983,000 is still sitting in the ARP funds. You could purchase 15 new cars today and pay for the body cams, a total out to 924,000. And that leaves a balance of 15,
Has the lease
14,000.
expired for the body cams yet? Do we know?
It
July
expires-
1st.
It expires this year.
So the money is available today to approve to purchase 15 cruisers and pay the body cams. Because we have the money sitting there due to our ARP fund for the lack of tax collection. So we can pay cash for 15 cars and body cams today. We do not have to wait. The money is available. This means that you're not going to have money for rail trails for the foreseeable future to the.
And that's the-
200,000. So that's the rip, isn't it, Patsy? Rail trails are police cars.
Dave, the whole rift of it is because you don't seem to feel like you're in total control, and you're not
No,
in
sir.
total control. None of us are.
Control
That's the whole
Okay,
problem
okay,
today.
Taxpayer dollars being spent.
Will you please, will you,
taxpayer.
let's continue the business at hand, please.
So I make a motion to purchase 15 cars today out of the ARP funds and pay for the body cams.
How much is all that gonna cost?
That will cost 924,000.
Okay, the motion's been made to pay for body cams and 15 cruisers out of the ARP leftover funds, I assume is what
It's
I should be
supposed
saying,
to- money that was to make up for our tax loss.
as stated by Commissioner Hinkle. for tax loss. And I don't want to be accused of defunding the police again, please. I am going to say this as I am going to make sure that the sheriff's office has their body cams and has the cruisers that they need. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed,
No,
will you please get with the sheriff and come back June the 8th with some definite numbers? And I hope everybody understands.
Trails one.
Review, discuss, consider agreement between Harrison County Commission, Clarksburg Parks and Rec Commission.
Madam President, I wasn't able to attend the Parks meeting this past Friday, but I did get an email from Trey with an updated version of the agreement, and hopefully that will be ready for signature soon. I'm not sure if they added or changed anything on Friday. I haven't had a chance to look at it, but that is one of the items that Trey is working on.
Could I please see the updated agreement?
So this is the agreement for Parks and Rec to take over Parks and Rec and the commission to be out of. Okay. Is there anything further? that
I
we
don't
need?
know, madam. I haven't seen the agreement.
Oh, excuse me.
We're here to discuss the agreement. Have you seen it?
No.
Mr. Treecost, have you seen the agreement?
Trey emailed it over at 9:21 this morning. Is when I got it. And I just forwarded it to the commission.
Is this something that's been agreed upon by their board yet?
I'm sorry, I don't have that answer since I wasn't at Friday's meeting.
Mr. Treecost sits on that board, doesn't he?
I believe so. Commissioner Treecost, have you seen the agreement?
Or we're gonna get.
I have not, Madam President.
Well, I am not ready to discuss this today without reviewing it, reading the whole thing, and thinking about it. So if you want to do that, that's fine. I'm not ready to vote on any agreement at this point in time. I would prefer Trey to be here as well. And that's just me.
I emailed Jackie to print us a couple copies.
So are we discussing the Clarksburg Parks and Rec agreement or the county commission and Harrison County Parks Rec Commission?
Oh, I'm sorry, I jumped to the wrong one. As for the Clarksburg Parks and Rec Commission, I haven't seen an agreement on that one, and that is something Trey is working on. My apologies, I'm sorry. I thought we were talking
Oh,
about.
so that's
between-
Clarksburg.
Yes, so
Yeah, 'cause-
18 with Clarksburg, Trey's working on. I have not seen an agreement yet for that one.
How many meetings has there been?
I know I have not been a part of any meetings on that one to date.
So these will both be put off the week after next. In the meantime, I would appreciate copies. And notifications for all meetings.
That takes care of 18 and 19. Okay, number 20, review, discuss, consider selling or transferring the 53.94 acres to, I guess that's map 290, parcel 4.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and 6.65, which is map 2303, parcel 54.19 acres to another public entity for development.
Yes, ma'am. Instead of selling the property, I would like for us to either consider the Harrison County Economic Development Authority and allow them to develop the property and be able to go out and get grants and build an industrial park. We can give it to them. And they can take care of developing the property for the purpose of which it was bought for.
I just have a quick question. Are you meaning the authority or are you meaning the corporation?
Authority. The authority sat here the other day and said they didn't have any projects and they wanted things to do, so here's your chance to give your authority something to do.
They
So that
already-
He said he was looking
Is
for
this-
projects and looking for jobs, so let him have the land and let him go ahead and apply. He can apply for grants. And the authority can go ahead and develop the property.
Is this the one next to the barn property?
Nope.
Where is this
the
one?
barn property and that acreage over at Maple.
From Maple Farms. That we voted to.
They already own the other. So this would give them ownership of all land to develop.
So this is one of the items that was voted on previously for those two parcels.
Right. Which we've already voted on again.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is the second time we're discussing this property. Am I not correct? Okay,
It won't be the one.
The motion is to transfer the 53.94 acres and the 6.65 to the Harrison County Development Authority to go with the other tracts that they presently own for development as an industrial park.
okay, motion as stated by Commissioner Hinkle to give the property to the Development Authority for development. I know that's not what you stated. The 53.94 and 6.65 acres.
That abuts their
Wait a
existing
minute.
property.
So it's all three of them.
One they currently own and then the other two are in the commission's name.
Okay, I just want, because this, I said, and I stated this incorrect. I guess that's not parcel 54.9, that's
No, it's
54.19 acres.
54.19
Okay.
parcels.
So why would we give them property they already have?
They don't.
Oh, okay,
This abuts the property they own.
okay.
It allows
I'm so
them to
confused on how
develop
much property you have at the airport that we bought. Well, not we, I'm not including myself, but anyhow, the motion's on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Everybody
Aye.
knows how this is gonna go. Any opposed? No.
No,
Okay, number 21, review, discuss, consider opening ceremonies for new annex, date, time, guest, public tours, refreshments, etc. It opens. Okay, who's up for this one? We got furniture that won't fit.
I can give you a small update just on the timeline from.
How
working
much
with
space is
the
that?
Elected officials. We do have some issues that need addressed. We've got some of this, so there's a construction meeting tomorrow. It's, if I can kind of give you a timeline of when you can do your ceremony. Our preliminary timeline, and we were just looking, they're still saying June 10th. You keep asking, they say June 10th, they will be done. I don't know if that's. But I've got to go with that. With that, obviously, we have to be the first ones in there because we need out of our facility. So we're looking at mid-July, July 11th, if everything's still on track. June 27th, the furniture is delivered and then start the install. So it gives us a couple weeks to then get our area ready. After that, around the first week of August, we look at the county commission, the county clerk to move in. The assessor and tax office need to move together, or we're gonna have people running back and forth. And both have requested to to not move in the month of August because it's a busy month. So we were looking at September. So if everything was on track, and obviously you have a lot of variables, IT being one, you know, you get over and IT is not ready. There's a lot of variables, but if you were looking at a date for possibility, you know, I would say October. Obviously, you can have a ceremony before that, summer, but I would say it'd be October 1st before everything's up and running. And over. Just based on some unknowns, we've got to spread it out. So that's what we're looking at.
So the month of October.
I can safely say that if that's the case, well, I'll make sure, like I said, that's saying that there's some built-in time there. And it's my hope as well with the move, and you know, once they turn it over, things are going to progress because it may be moving day, for instance, for tax and assessor on in September. But that doesn't mean they won't have their control of their area and people can get their personal effects and things over there before that time. So that's my hope, exploring that time before they move in, things that can go, can, you know, can be moved over there. But, there's some larger items like the electric, things we have to do some timing to make sure that they're not over there when they need them over here. So that's the only time constraint. We're working for, we started meeting with everyone moving over there. We've got a good group that's meeting and kind of giving their concerns, and we've been to try to address those. I'll do the construction with them and address whatever concerns we have. But it's nice because I think the elected officials now kind of feel, and John can say that at least you've seen it, you know what we're going into, and you have a part in reform. So, if there's anything else anyone wants to and that we need to do, just let me know. I'll try to facilitate that.
I would like to say, Gary, you've been doing a great job at that, and I appreciate that.
I appreciate it. We got a lot of questions still coming with moving companies and things that we'll have to address. I appreciate that. It's not that I'm doing anything. I'm just trying to bring everyone together. The departments will have to do.
You're directing traffic. You're directing traffic.
That's about it. Herding cats.
Yeah. I was trying.
So do we want to do something before we build the building, or are the buildings still empty?
Guess that's up to you all. You know, obviously, if you're going to give tours, you know, I would say if you're doing an opening, people want to see it. It'd probably be better if you did have it. So they can see, it, you know, operating. And really, October is probably good weather-wise. Probably a good time for a ceremony like that, rather than in the heat of the summer. Outside in front. You guys pick the days, you know, the time, and we'll make it happen.
Matter to me.
Staff come back with recommendations. 1 week out of October.
I say once we get community corrections in there, we're gonna really know
Then you'll have an
what our
idea.
timeline is gonna be a lot easier. But we're gonna try to work the kinks out, with IT and the other effects, because there's gonna be some issues. And we can handle those a little bit better. I mean, if worst case scenario, counselors can still counsel without computers, you know, it'd be a pain. We can still do drug screening, you know, paper, and then enter them later in the computer. So it's not the same as if we move the tax department over there. They have to be online immediately. So we're hoping to be online on day one, but we can weather the storm for a little bit to work the kinks out.
But you want to do it by hand like we did.
Did you say for staff to come back with recommendations the first week in August?
First week or second week of August, 1st of August.
We may know by then, but October, we may already be in September, maybe say mid-September. Because we're gonna know moving over how long.
But it's better to shoot.
My goal is to not, my personal goal is to not close for even a day. That's what we should be shooting. We should not close the office for a day unless absolutely 100% necessary. And I think the purchase of computers helps that, with having them up and running and move right over into those, so that should help. We shouldn't close.
Need for that,
I-
if we get everything we need for that.
Yeah, but I mean, that's my personal goal is to make sure we're not closed even for a day. We shouldn't see what's.
June 15th be one, please.
Anything else on 21?
All right.
Okay, 22, review, discuss, consider finishing bridge and rail trail from Height Field to Lost Creek. Cost, time to complete. Anybody have information on that?
The cost and the time has not been calculated yet because as you know, that the cost of materials keeps going up. This is the one that Trey is still working on because the residents are using that bridge. And I know we discussed, I wasn't in the last week, the week before, about just doing it, make it towards resurface and they can use the bridge back. But of course, legal wants to make sure that we are covered with all of that.
Anything else with 22?
My recommendation on the bridge is just to make it, get with Rasher so that it can be used to drive on. I think we're gonna fight with these people without getting to their homes, and I don't want to be the one that denies somebody their house. So we'll have to come up with a way to make the bridge usable and at the same time protect people from walking and driving on it. But I think it's the one trail that we can make complete for the public to use from point A to point B. And I'd like to see us get it finished up here in the next 2 or 3 months.
Is that it?
Just, I don't know whether or not I need to make a motion for Thrasher to give recommendations on how to build a bridge that will support vehicular traffic.
Would you please make a motion?
Motion for Thrasher to advise staff on how to build or recover the bridge for vehicular traffic and come up with a way to limit the use. And for staff to come up with a way to notify as people approach this bridge that there's potential for car traffic.
And this is just to advise us on what's going to have to take place in order to do that. Is that correct?
For staff to begin to,
With Thrasher, we're not doing, or this is not a vote to move forward with it. This is just a vote to see what we can do.
For Thrasher to tell us.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understand. I guess I should put the motion on the floor before I ask the question. Okay, motion is to have Thrasher let the commission know what would be needed for that bridge to be passable with vehicles, for those persons to get to their house. Also, how we can try to make it safe for those on the trail. What else?
cost to finish the rail trail
And the cost to finish the rail trail.
from Mayfield to Lost Creek, anything we haven't completed.
Finish the trail that had anything that
We
has
need more
not,
Gravel, I don't know if there's
On the-
any other issues. on
actually
that
just
trail.
basically the southern trail, to complete the southern trail, whatever needs to be done. For staff to come back and let us know, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Hearing none, motion carried. Review, discuss, consider issues with coke oven agreement.
I apologize. It feels like everything I say is the tree's working on that, but that
Well,
is the
I'll
one.
tell you, I'd like to, it seems to be a potentially a legal issue, Susan, as I understand. Um, It's entirely up to you, but I will remove 24, 25, 26 till week after next and go into executive session because I'd like to get this issue with the code of it, so.
Well, there's no notification of the possibility of going into executive session on this item or any other item, and I believe you have to do that. You have to notify that we could be going into executive session. So I have a problem doing that.
Okay, so I'd like to know what the issues are.
I mean, I don't know exactly all the issues. I know some of the issues we've had. Maybe that's something Laura can discuss with you outside of the meeting.
And then we can plan for executive session for the 8th if you'd like. So then Trey can explain all the details that I possibly could be missing.
When does this agreement end?
The end of July.
The end of July? How many days notice do we have to give to end?
I believe it's a 30-day notice. I'll have to double check on that one because Trey and I were going through the current contract and everything like that.
Is it automatic renewal?
My understanding is yes.
Is it yes or no?
I didn't think it was, but I don't know. I thought it was. I could be wrong.
I mean, we're running up on 30 days. If it's a July 1st,
Who has a copy of the agreement?
I have one of mine.
that's my only thing. If we're not gonna meet today. So if we just let it sunshine and die, or go ahead and make notification if it's automatic renewal.
I'll pull that and I'll also send it to the commissioners. That agreement. so you can see.
Susan, I think, I'm just gonna make a motion to let it sunshine, that if it dies, it dies. We don't go for renewal. If it's automatic renewal, we go ahead and give a 30-day notice so that we can revisit an agreement at a later date if we want to.
So basically, we're trying to get it, you want to let it go for the time being.
I don't see where, at this point, I don't know if it's in our, doesn't seem to be in our best issue to keep it. So my motion is to either let it sunshine at the end of July, or if it doesn't, give notification that our 30 days that. With the agreement, yeah.
Okay, motion is to, if the agreement is, wait a minute, if it expires, to let it expire, and if it continues,
If we have to give a notice.
we have to give a notice, give a notice.
Yeah.
Okay. And that is the agreement with concerning the coke ovens.
And table 24, 25, 26 for 2 weeks.
Okay. Let's do 23 first. Any further discussion on the coke ovens? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay, so Mr. Hinkle's motion is to table 24, 25, 26 until the 8th of June. Is that correct?
24, yeah, 25 to 8th of June, 26th until July,
The 26th is July.
26th will be July. First, 14th, I'm sorry, 14th.
Okay, 24 and 25 will be tabled until the 8th of June, and 26 will be tabled until July 14th. Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, motion carried. Now 27, administrators report.
I only have a very few things. Playing catch up for my vacation. No commission meeting next week, and the courthouse will be closed on Monday for Memorial Day holiday. That's all. I have.
28, commissioner comments. Commissioner Treecost, are you still on? Appears that he has dropped off unless he comes back on, so I assume he has no comments. So, Mr. Hinkle, do you have commissioner comments?
I still feel that this commission is avoiding telling the public everything about selling the property on 279. Still have not come up with why we're doing it. What the purpose of the money from it is, and why we don't want to get into an industrial park. My other issue is when this commission moves to approve to go out to hire an architect to build something isn't the same as approving to build something. Because if that's the case, no matter what the cost is, we're saying we're going to do it. And that's not what was said. It was said that we would go out for bid. Laura would present to the commission a ranking sheet by an architect. And then that bid would be awarded in September. Nothing about building. I don't know why this commission wants to fight it by hiring an architect, but that's the same as hiring somebody to do the work. I sit on a lot of other organizations. I can tell you, if we operated this way, we wouldn't be sitting on those boards. We approve people to sit on boards. If they operated that way, shame on us for appointing them to the board.
Any more chastising?
No, man, I'm not trying to chastise anybody. I'm just trying to understand why we think we approve things just by saying it without ever seeing it. This commission's approved contracts that we've never read. Our attorneys never read. And I just don't understand why we don't want to be more involved in those decisions. That's it.
I have nothing. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye.